talking about is when you purchase a home, you do not want to go in and then be house broke, meaning that you don't have funds for the what ifs.
Right.
You gotta sacrifice. You wanna move like bosses move.
YMA, Young Millionaires Association.
All right, guys. Welcome to YMA Nation Podcast. I am Joe Wallace, and this is
Rebecca Wallace.
And today is Real Estate Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
Look,
We're
she
going to talk about
excited.
some real estate today.
It's her show. Look, she's all
is.
excited when it's her show. You ready?
Yeah. I'm
Guys,
ready.
if you're on right now, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment in.
Subscribe.
Guys, and today's show is brought to you by the Pyramid Group with Keller Williams for all of your home buying and selling needs. If you're interested in purchasing a home, you can contact the Pyramid Group at 864-249-1437.
Yep. Give us a call and we will guide you along the way.
The Pyramid Group, guys. So, and even if you're out of South Carolina, they can still call and get all
And
their
get some
questions answered.
assistance.
Get
Yes.
some assistance. So, what are we talking about today?
Top 3 mistakes buyers make.
Top 3 mistakes that buyers make. This is going to be a good subject,
This
guys.
is going to be good.
So down in the comment section, guys, make sure you hashtag YMA Nation.
and comment any questions that you may have or any subjects that you want discussed on Real Estate Wednesday so that we can answer your questions on the podcast, on the show.
That's a great idea. And if you have topics that you would like us to cover, then drop it down in the comment
Drop
section.
it in the comment section.
All right, let's go.
So, number one.
Number one.
See, you're going to want to get in on number one.
Okay.
I know he is. Watch.
It must got something to do with money.
Not being financially prepared.
Not being financially prepared to purchase a home.
Right. So this has a couple of different, I would say, subtitles to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have not being financially prepared.
Then subcategories, just break it down.
subcategories.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is your credit where it needs to be? Because
Right.
that's part of your finances. So if you have a lot of negative collection items on your credit file, then that's going to hinder your buying power because they're going to count that against your debt to income ratios, which we've talked about those on shows before.
And it's important to have your credit where it needs to be, too, because it impacts the interest rate that you'll be
Yep,
paying.
I ain't even got there yet.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Let's go.
let's go.
Hashtag let's go.
But that's a great point. So your credit score can impact whether you are going to need a down payment, how much your down payment is going to have to be. And it can also put you in a position to qualify for programs where you don't have to have a down payment. You
Right.
get down payment assistance or 100% financing. And so your credit score and your debt to income ratios really play a major part in you being able to qualify for that.
Great. If you need your credit, if you need assistance,
See, I knew he was going to jump in. That's why I was just waiting for a second.
if you guys, because I'll be putting a plug out
know.
there for everyone, but if you need assistance improving your credit, make sure you contact Masters Credit Consultants, the experts in credit repair, credit building, and credit restoration. And they're at www.masterscredit.com, www.masterscredit.com. Or you could call them for a free phone consultation at 864-249-9466. I feel like what do you call the people that be on the talk shows and they just be doing the ads?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Radio host or something
Yeah.
like.
So another part of not being financially prepared is your savings.
Savings.
So how much money do you have? And we're not talking about in the type of market it is or bidding. We're not talking about any of that. What we're talking about is when you purchase a home, you do not want to go in and then be house broke, meaning that you don't have funds for the what ifs.
Right.
What if the HVAC goes out? what if I have a leak in the roof? What if I lose my job 2 weeks after I buy a house and I need to make my house payments? Right? You have to have your savings at a place to where you're going to be comfortable with, I got some reserves in this savings account, but I also have a savings account that's going to give me the money to actually buy the house. So if you have to have a down payment, or you want to have a down payment to lower the amount of the loan that you're getting, your closing costs, your inspections, your appraisal, all of the funds that go into buying a house.
I think that's important too. And I feel, to allude to your statements, is that it's important to also have homeowners insurance, because some of the things that she did mention, the homeowners insurance will help cover the cost on it. If you have a deductible, then you may have to come out of pocket like $100, $200 on something that's like a $3,000 repair or something. So it's important to have homeowners insurance, but you got to be able to pay for the homeowners insurance. A garage, right? A garage is not covered under homeowners insurance. And I think we was in our home for a year, and the garage was like fairly new, but the track thing, something happened with the track thing. We had to pay to have that. They had to replace it. The rod somehow got bent on the thing that turns, and that was like a few $100, right?
I mean, you never know. It's a house.
Better be prepared.
You always have different aspects of the home that you could have to, and just annual maintenance too, because you want to have your HVAC maintenance. Do you want to have different systems checked and maintenance every year to make sure that everything's working properly?
Right.
Okay, so off of the financial topic, on to number 2, which is not hiring an agent. So in this wonderful world of social media and the internet and Google and search engines that allow you to look things up on your own,
DIY,
right? You have a lot of people who think that they can go out here and, well, I see a sign in the yard, I'm just going to call them, or I'm just going to, this is a for sale by owner. I'm not going to bother with the agent. I'll do it myself. Right. But when you do that, there's a couple of things that you lose. You lose the knowledge of actually the steps that you need to take as a buyer to make sure you're protected as a buyer. You also, unless you're going to hire an attorney to read every piece of document having to do with the contract, then you need someone there that's going to help you understand what the contract is and what the contract is saying. And I say that because even in rent-to-own situations, this is where you see it the most, where people don't get an agent involved, and they go into these rent-to-own situations, and they're atrocious. They're like the contract that was written doesn't help them as the purchaser at all, and in fact, it puts them at a higher risk as the purchaser of the property.
Right.
Because now you're taking on all of the responsibility of the property in some cases, and are still viewed or seen as a renter, so you fall up under that as well. So, I mean, it becomes a very thin line, especially when you get into those types of situations. So
I started off checking it every other week, just like most people do. Then it got out of control. I couldn't help myself. I started checking it day after day after day. I didn't realize that I was becoming addicted until my wife said something.
What did she say?
She said, "It's just a credit score, relax."
Are you checking your credit score?
Huh? Hold on.
I always want to have someone who understands real estate, who understands real estate contracts, who understands what your rights are as a buyer and even as a seller. I mean, we're talking to buyers right now, but even as a seller, because you have sellers that are doing for sale by owners because they think the market's so great that I'm going to have somebody buy my house, but end up leaving $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on the table because they don't know how to accurately price their home or market their home, or where to market their home to get the amount of money that they could make on their property.
Let me add to that, so the viewers out there can understand something too. If you're buying a house as a buyer, you're not coming out of pocket for that agent. In most cases, it's paid by the seller. So why wouldn't you hire someone, a professional in their field, on the largest purchase that you possibly would ever make in your life? Why wouldn't you hire someone to make sure that that contract and the whole transaction is done properly, especially if it's no cost to you? That's just like common sense to me.
Right. Well, and again, you have some people who don't understand that, they think that they're saving money. They'll go into a new community and they'll go talk to the agents that are sitting at that table, and they will not, they'll just sign paperwork and move forward with the transaction, not knowing that they need someone representing that their side of the transaction. That agent sitting across the table from you represents the builder. They're going to look out for the best interest of the builder
and try to get the maximum amount on that property.
So you need someone who's going to represent you. It doesn't save you a dime. To go into a new community and sit across the table from an agent that works for that builder without representation. Take you an agent with you so that they can make sure that you're being told the correct information. Even though builders a lot have their own contracts drawn up, that you still need someone on your side that's going to make sure that the transaction's handled properly.
You seen the guy who just went to court and tried to represent himself? The guy with the big dreads in his hair, he tried to represent himself, and you see how that went. So sometimes it's best to have a professional. Right, in their field.
Okay, last but not least, not doing your due diligence. People, do your due diligence. So what that means is, and this goes hand in hand with not hiring an agent, because you don't even understand what due diligence is unless you have an agent.
They Googled it. They know what it means.
Okay, we'll Google it and you know what it means. But you want to take advantage of being able to get your inspections done, making sure that the house is in the condition that you want to buy it in, ensuring that you don't want to ask the seller to repair things before you continue the process of buying the home, making sure that the home will appraise for what you've put your offer in for. And this goes for new builds too. There is a lot of builder contracts right now that have added appraiser stipulations saying that, you may lose your earnest money if it doesn't appraise, if you don't come up with the difference, if it doesn't appraise.
Yeah.
Because the builders are tacking on all this additional cost and upping the prices on these new communities and these new builds. You need someone that's going to help you through the due diligence. Even in a new build, you can get an inspection done. You can choose to have inspections done on that property. On a resale property, a property that's already on the market. If you are renting to own, even if you live in the house, then or if you're renting, and let's say the owner comes to you and says, hey, I'm getting ready to put the house on the market, but I want to offer it to you first. Just because you're living in it doesn't mean you have to accept the property the way that it is.
Right.
You could have a leak. You could have different things wrong with the property that you may not know are wrong with the property. You can say, well, I want to have a buyer agent represent me. Are you willing to pay a buyer's agent to represent me in the transaction so I can make sure that I'm protected?
What do
If you
feel?
don't, then you lose your due diligence.
Do you think that most buyers would agree to that? As far as like
You mean
covering the
sellers?
cost? I mean sellers, yeah.
Owners.
The owners.
I mean, it really just depends at that point. Those are one of the situations where you may have to pay that agent yourself. But again, that goes to the cost that you want to put into, financially.
You're renting to own, right? You renting to own. You want to make sure that you're not going to start off and sign a contract on something. Now you're stuck in that contract.
Now you're stuck
to
in that
purchase
contract.
it. Because if you don't purchase that contract on the rent to own, then you lose your deposit.
And be financially prepared if you do have to pay for the agent services that you're wanting to bring on, because it's gonna be in your best interest to have someone there to walk you through the process, than to try to do it on your own. Or I see it all of the time. You have people, they'll go to this lender, they'll go to that lender, they'll go to this lender, they'll go to that lender. They're not getting any help. They'll go to this. Agent, they won't sign anything. They'll go to that agent. They'll agent hop all over the place. But if you don't want to sit down and go through the process, then it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. You have to be willing to, okay, you know what? If this lender told me though, this lender told me no, they told me I need to work on my credit. That's my first step. I'm going to work on my credit and I'm going to work on saving money. That's what I'm going to do before I even talk to anybody else.
This may be, so you see that too, that happens.
Yeah.
Like they know that they need to improve their credit, but then either someone sells them on, hey, you could buy a house. You don't have to have a 580 credit score.
You
can still buy a house, right? But and then you go and meet with them,
8%.
and the down payment, it's a very high amount on the down payment, and the interest rate is not the best interest rate. But then they posted like, hey, finally in my new home, right? But you still, it wasn't a smart buy, right? So sometimes you have to, don't do things just for like the pleasure, a post, or you're talking about a mortgage, right? A home purchase that you're going to be in. This is an investment, also an asset to you. So you have to treat it like a business transaction from my perspective, right?
Right. And you do have bad agents out there. You have agents that only care about the sale. They don't care about, the well-being.
You're paying $300 more on interest than you should be.
You have to get you someone who will tell you no. You have to have an agent that's going to tell you no. That's going to be like, I don't think that this is the best move for you from a perspective of a professional perspective of this purchase. And they're willing to tell you no and willing to possibly either lose you as a client or upset you for saying no to get you to a better position. So at the end of the day, it's still very important to have an agent and to do your due diligence and to make sure that you're financially prepared to purchase.
It's always about money, guys. Always. All your decisions should be based around am I making the smartest financial decision? Always. I don't care if you're buying a home, if you're buying a car, if you're getting a credit card. I don't care. Every purchase, where you're borrowing, It should
Right.
always be a smart financial decision, and it's always based on the interest rate. Always based on the interest rate, because if you buy a house $250,000 at a high interest rate, and then you try to figure out why do I not have? I've been in the house for 2 years, 3 years, but I have no equity.
Right.
No equity, because the majority of your payment is going towards the interest in the loan and not the principal, because your credit was not bad. Instead of you being patient and saying, no, let me fix my credit, get above this 620. That's going to take me 4 to 6 months, but I'll be patient, or 6 to 9 months. I'll be patient, and I'll save $200 every month over a 30-year period.
Right. Or even if you do get in at a little bit of a higher interest rate, at a 580, 590, 600, at least continue to build out your credit so that in 6 months, 9 months,
A year.
once that mortgage hits, that's going to help boost your credit scores
Right.
up. You can come back and you could say, you know what?
Refinance.
I'll refinance, and now I'm going to save some money.
Right.
You know, and hopefully within that time frame, you've built a little bit of equity. You can either leave the equity in the house, you can pull the equity out and, you know, use the equity to benefit you. There's so many different things that you could do if you just stay the course. And then once you get your credit to a place where it doesn't need repair or work anymore, continue to build that credit out. So if you ever were to need a home equity line of credit, a home equity loan, you know, a home equity line of credit, most of the time they want to see you at like 700 plus. So you have to have your scores where they need to be. So if you need to use it, you can.
Stop playing. Call Masters Credit Consultants, 864-249-9466. This show today is sponsored by Masters Credit Consultants. So, by the Pyramid Group, but we want to make sure
At Keller Williams.
At Keller Williams. So, and their number is
864-249-1437.
the number of Masters Credit is
864-249-9466.
your number is. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
If y'all have questions, please drop comments, and that way we can prepare those questions for actual show
Right.
topics, and that way you get your questions answered right here on the podcast.
And if you have questions, and I can guarantee someone is thinking just
The
like
same
you.
thing. Yes.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on Real Estate Wednesday. Good information. Top 3 mistakes that buyers make. Right, so hope you guys learned some information. If you have questions, again, feel free to call in. The call is free.
Free.
Nothing like free information, right? So
Ask about the Pyramid Group package.
The Pyramid Group package. Make sure you ask about the Pyramid Group package. We'll be back on Friday for Sports Talk Friday. Sports Talk Friday. We getting ready for the football season. Let's go.
You gotta sacrifice. You wanna move like bosses move.
YMA, Young Millionaires Association. Yeah, see, that's the association.